Great. Well, welcome, everybody. I'd like to call to order the November 2024 EAC monthly meeting. I think everybody received the minutes from last month. Any any additions, corrections, anything to those meeting or those minutes that anybody wants to mention?
Motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
thank you, Bernie. Moving right to it. First,
You should call for an approval.
yeah, you want me to call for approval?
Yeah, just saying.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, we had a motion and a second. We just need everyone to say aye to be safe.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. There are no residents for the public comments, so we'll skip past that. If anybody shows up, we'll certainly give them the space to ask what they want to ask. Next is project updates. Sustainability, that one falls on me. I had a call last week with Sawyer from PA Sustainability. They took the raw data that we gave them with regard to scope 1 and scope 2 greenhouse gas collection of data, and they put it into their spreadsheet. There is a Department of Energy spreadsheet which is available and simple. They took the data, simply clicked something that said, for example, gasoline, said how many gallons we use for the fleet, 982, and that turned it into a number. So it was 32 CO2, something like that. So Sawyer took our raw data, put it into this calculator, which is very simple, took that data, put it into the PA Sustainability spreadsheet, uploaded it. It is done, and we are not officially, because they have not come back yet to say congratulations, but we have fulfilled every every question, every response, everything with regard to reestablishing gold for McCandless, certainly by the end of this year. There is one more thing that they'd like me to do. Seems like they just keep dangling that carrot, but I'm going to attend a Penn State conference next Thursday for a greenhouse gas boot camp. And it's not only the raw data that we've already gathered on gasoline, on Penn Power, kilowatt hours, on anything with regard to what's the word I'm looking for? So electricity and gas usage, so natural gas usage. We've compiled all that. They're going to ask a few other questions about what we take to the landfill. So some of the numbers, and John's going to help me look those up. I'm going to take that to the boot camp, and we are going to then at that point have fulfilled everything, is and more, I would guess. So at this point, John, when they come back and they say, okay, congratulations, McCandless, you're a gold. How can we advertise that? How can we, what can we do? Can you look into, how important is that? Does it go into, the North Allegheny Journal? Certainly the publications that are, that are inherent in the community.
Yeah, I mean, from our end, it's probably definitely worth like a quick announcement, because last time we sort of made the whole rigmarole where we brought the executive director in and, he went in front of council and took a photo, everything holding on to like a framed, gold thing, which isn't official. We made it solely for the photo up to hang on the wall, but we probably don't need to go through as much this time, but definitely, websites, social media mentions, probably bringing it up to the Trib for an article in the North Journal if needed.
Yeah.
Depends on how much we can squeeze out, because it was a lot of work, and it's good to acknowledge that.
And one of the reasons we're going through the whole thing is that it then realtors can use it as a sales tool for McCandless also. So trying to get it out to the realtor community also, that we're a gold community.
Okay, great. I hadn't thought about that.
That
And
was one of the whole reasons why we went through the,
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be a nice launch too for the new township manager, I think. Give him a couple talking points and like I said, the Trib and maybe North Allegheny Journal.
And I would say, if there's something you could do for Winterfest, we expect a lot of families to come to our town hall campus. You know, they are looking for things to do, walking around in the public works, but if we could do something just, you know, like even like a poster board and say, hey, did you know, kind of situation.
Matt, is that something you can incorporate into your game that you do? Like,
I don't know. I certainly it's something that we should have at the table. You know, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to talk about the game. I don't even know if that's happening for Winterfest.
Yeah, yeah,
or not,
let's
so.
table that for 1 minute and when we come up on Winterfest, because I think that'll be the bulk of this meeting is talking about Winterfest and how we want to present ourselves. So let's table that for 1 minute and we'll put it into you know, the other ideas that we have for that evening. Any questions on sustainability? Okay. Secondly, fall roadside cleanup debrief on Saturday, October 12th. The EAC led a roadside cleanup of 2 targeted areas and the EAC adopt a highway area. So we had some other concerned citizens cleaning up around the bottom of Peebles to McKnight. There was also a cleanup around the plaza that has Target and Giant Eagle and KFC. That was also cleaned up. And then also this group cleaned up the EAC Adopt a Highway, which is the 4 ramps that lead to McKnight from Ingomar. We gathered a total of 14 bags. EAC collected 9 bags, adding 23 bags to our running total. So you know, that running total, you know, is something we keep giving to John. We keep adding on. I'm going to guess it's something around, you know, 2,500 bags since we started counting. But that was in addition to that. Any questions on the fall roadside cleanup? Okay. Spring roadside cleanup dates. Just wanted to throw these dates out. The challenge this year is that if we want to be around Earth Day, that is Easter weekend. So that would be the 19th, and that would be, you know, a weekend that we probably would lose a lot of families. This doesn't work. So I was going to throw out April 12th as the first day, and then April 25 as a rain date. Does anybody have any issues with that? Any thoughts on that?
just check what first day of trout season is.
Yeah, that'll
that-
probably
that-
be, yeah.
That loads up North Park, Ingomar Road and everything.
Mhm. Well,
Isn't that the 1st of April now?
I think it
I
is.
think they've moved everything to be just the 1st of April,
Yeah, I'm hoping that's
the
true. If
first
anybody
Saturday.
can,
in April.
Is there any reason not to do it on the 19th?
the 19th, we'll probably have a week attendance.
It's Easter Sunday.
Yeah,
Oh, is it like-
yeah, it's Holy Saturday,
Easter
you know.
weekend.
Trout is April 5th, so
Okay.
What is it?
trout is April 5th,
Perfect.
so.
So
Good.
the 4th is
Thank
like
you.
the day before, you know, taxes are due the 16th.
Yeah,
So for those who do taxes late,
well,
I mean, that's one thing. I think I didn't do it for a couple of years. for that
Mhm.
reason. That's when I usually, if they're not done, I get
Yeah.
it done. But I have an accountant who does that and I don't have to worry anymore. But my point is, you know, that could eliminate some.
okay.
Here.
I just think that we are, we're very short on the amount of dates that are available to us. So I think more important, and I'm hoping this is not the case, but James and Matt, do you know if the 12th is any type of date for, you know, student testing that would eliminate a lot of students being available?
I just checked my calendar and there's a lot of testing in May, but there's nothing really in April, so.
That matches what Jane Ellen had told us as well.
Okay, great. So then it looks like we're gonna settle in on April 12th with April 25 being a rain date.
That'd be the
And-
26th, correct? Because that's the Saturday.
Yeah.
25 is a
Okay.
Friday.
Mhm.
Thanks, Matt.
Just making sure.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Also, 25th is Arbor Day, which
Okay.
I don't know if we could work
Yeah.
that into anything, but
So, this is something that we have to heavily promote, obviously, and we'll do it so many different ways. And we will ask, I'll ask everybody on the EAC to participate that can. We'll ask every council person to participate that can. We'll ask John, the township manager, and John to get municipal employees to participate, and we'll ask the community to participate. So to promote this, we'll want to get ahead of council meetings to let them know that this is out there. I think we had a great response last time. I think everybody understands that it is a community event that they want to be involved in, and families want to be involved in. But how do we get to the trib? How do we get to, or not, maybe not necessarily a trib, but I guess it would be the NA.
Yeah, which is through the trips.
Okay,
I mean, we could probably reach out, I would say, to be safe, maybe 6 weeks in advance.
okay.
We could do that and say, we're doing this. It's been a nice thing. Can we get an article on it?
Yeah,
It was a wonderful event last year. You had over 100 people there, and it was quite a event to coordinate and get everybody out the door and doing their thing too. But,
Mhm.
that was really very successful last year.
thanks, Ken.
Jeff, I wondered if we seek publicity for the sustainability certification, is there a way for us to also fit in some talking points around, like, hey, this was the effort of the EAC. If this is of interest, here's some other initiatives that the EAC spearheads, just to like plant those seeds in terms of spring cleanup, and
Mhm.
also maybe raise awareness of to date the bags picked up,
Mhm.
and whatever else we want to throw in there, just to try to broaden the message.
Do you mean in when we go into a paper, when we go into
Yeah.
a trip or something like that?
Yeah.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Take some credit for the other work that's been done too.
Yeah, yeah, why not?
Do you have a running, not just the total number of bags we picked up, but like each year, so you could like make a chart
Mhm.
that you have.
Yeah, John and I were talking, we have to pull that together. Yep,
Because the visual like really catches people a lot of times more
Mhm.
than anything else.
yep. Okay, so that is it for the spring dates. Any questions about or any comments?
Yeah, I was wondering whether we were collaborating with any schools or school clubs to like market that. Try to get more people.
Great idea.
Yeah,
you wanna
James,
comment on
we usually work with the Interact Club and National Honor Society this year for the first time. But you tell me, James, are we collaborating with any clubs at a local high school?
Yeah, I mean, we are collaborating with Interact. I know that since I found out about a lot of different opportunities through Interact. And I think another club that would be valuable is Key Club, just because I know a lot of people who are in that club, and they also have a lot of opportunities as well.
Perfect. Consider yourself tasked.
I have no relationship with them, but do we ever collaborate with LaRoche? Because they have student programs as well that might be interested, and they're here in McCandless.
Mhm.
CCAC is the same.
Well-
It's difficult.
It's so the tie-in there is LaRoche has an Adopt a Highway
Okay.
on Babcock.
Mhm.
Now getting people to fulfill their obligations as an Adopt a Highway free advertiser, because they get the free advertising, is another thing. And we've gone down that road, and we, the litter subcommittee at one point went after every Adopt a Highway that was within McCandless area, and, got a lot of Heismans, we don't want to put people under the road, that was the old regime, blah, 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 blah. So we can contact LaRoche, and we can see if we can bring them in. And I think Lynn Appman also made contact with community college, which we may be able to, sort of put some life back into that one.
Okay.
Now, thirdly, is that we also partnered with Beryl Subaru last year. who had an e-recycling event along with an ice cream truck or whatever that is. So, we'll reach out to them again and see if they want to do that. That sort of brings people into their parking lot. So, and see if their employees would go out and clean in front of their building.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the point is. Okay, any other comments? Okay, next up is deer management, Ken's monthly report.
Okay, why do we have a deer management program? We have an overpopulation of deer in McCandless. It's like we all love to see deer until we see them in front of the hood of our car. But the reality is that we have no regeneration of trees in North Park or any of our woodlots or parks. And all of our native plants have basically been consumed also. So that means there's fewer birds and seeds for the squirrels and chipmunks. So it affects the whole ecosystem when you have too many deer. So what McCandless instituted a couple of years ago after surveying the public on the issue and everything is that we're in a special regulations area for the Game Commission, which means we have very long archery seasons for deer hunting. And North Park and the county parks have had a similar program for almost 30 years now, where a group of hunters that will try to harvest mature does, which is how you control population. And so we've been trying to grow that program here in McCandless with a group called Suburban Whitetail. And this year they have 14 private properties that they're hunting, and they've harvested 18 deer so far, or 28 deer so far this year, 18 in the month of October. And then our township public areas, Wall Park, Vessel Park, and Potter Park, are open to public this year. They have been under the suburban management for a couple of years and are open to the public this year. Hunters just need to fill out an application with the police department and then report any kills. So in the last month, we've had 3 additional hunters sign up. So we have 7 hunters signed up for those to hunt in those 3 parks. One of my buddies actually is one of those guys, and he harvested a nice 10-point last week, and he promises me he and his other buddy will harvest 4 does in the next couple of weeks, or in the next week. That's what we're trying to do, is harvest mature does rather than 10-point bucks. Just to give you a little bit of background to it, since September, in mid-September is when archery deer season started. Suburban whitetail hunters have harvested 28 deer. The hunters hunting in our municipal areas have harvested 2 deer, and we've picked up 49 deer on McCandless roadways. Now, when I say 49 deer on McCandless roadways, that's not including 19 in McKnight Road, because those are state roads, and we don't pick up the deer there and we can't get the data. So just on the township maintained roads, there's been 49 deer kills in that 6-week period. And so when we have the overpopulation of deer, it's not only is it the ecological damage that they're doing to our woodlots, it's also the cost that it's, when you have an accident with a deer, you're looking at thousands of dollars to get your car fixed again. So it's a program that we're trying to encourage private landowners to participate in. Anybody that that has an acre or 2 or more, preferably more, can get involved in it very simply contacting me or Jack Casey on town council, and we can get them moving with Suburban Whitetail. Suburban Whitetail also, you can access their site from the McCandless website to go directly to Suburban Whitetail to see what they're doing. So it's an ongoing issue. It's something that we have until the end of January. Archery season will be going on. When these hunters two hunters, a husband and wife that are part of Suburban have harvested 7 deer so far. 1 deer is enough for them. The other 6 are donated to Share the Harvest, which are then meat is butchered by Kips down in Carnegie and donated to the food banks. So we're providing hundreds of pounds of good organic meat to families in need. So anything that I'll close with is, if you know anyone who has a appropriate property to allow archery hunters that are checked out with their backgrounds, that they're not criminals, and that the hunter would also have insurance through Suburban Whitetail. Please have them contact Suburban Whitetail to get involved, and maybe they'll actually have some tulips this next year. Thank you. Questions?
That might also be a nice running tally in terms of pounds donated to the food bank.
It's hard to do that, but
Take an average and multiply it by the number of deer, just even if it's estimated.
when you 100-pound doe is going to give you, if harvested cleanly and taken care of properly, which these guys will do, that'll give you about 50 pounds of meat. So that would be like 50 times
28.
28. So
Yeah. It's a half a
it's
ton of deer.
significant. With the county parks, they donate more than 3,000 pounds a year.
Yeah.
So it's a significant thing.
Yeah, that's a great number to keep tally of, to be able to say that a major benefit of the program is a ton of
Organic meat.
organic grass-fed venison to those in need locally.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, on to community outreach. And the first item I have here is catch basin detail, timing and video. And so Matt, I turn to you and, your thoughts on when we would start that back up. And I think there's a video out there that Dawn and somebody else did to describe how to apply and do you know of this?
Yeah, Judy and Don and Archie, I think, put something together. I don't know where it is, if it's on the SharePoint site or not, but I can certainly
On
reach
SharePoint.
out.
Is
Is
it?
it on
Yeah.
there? Okay, yeah. So it's on the SharePoint site. It's the issue of how we're distributing that. I mean, I think that previously that had been sent. James, did you see that video? I think it was sent to the Interact Club.
Yeah, I remember watching it.
Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of our path, was that we had given the labels and everything to the Interact Club. And James, as I recall, Mrs. Lombardi told me that you were one of the people that was kind of like heading up and getting a lot of people mobilized to do that. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I plan to continue doing that this year. So last year I did around 130,
Mhm.
and this year I'm gonna try to do a little bit more, maybe around 200. But I think that, yeah, I'm gonna try to continue just doing as many as I can.
Okay, and getting others to help you, I hope.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to do 200 on your own. I mean, it's great that if you are, but then get somebody else, and you guys can do 400, or however it might go. Did we get those supplies to you, James? Do you have those?
Not yet. I think my teacher might have them, but I have to check with her.
I have supplies.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think Jeff has them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Jeff, do you have them with you by any chance? Like, can James take them tonight, or James, is that something you can take with you?
I don't have them with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll have to organize a time that, Jeff, either you can drop them off somewhere, or James, you can pick them up somewhere. Whatever is going to be the best thing. So maybe Jeff, if you can send out an email to the two of us this week, and we'll try to
Mhm.
organize that.
I will do that.
That'd be great. I want to also, Jeff, you sent me the agenda, and I was like, yeah, this all looks great. And I totally overlooked the fact that James is supposed to be able to have a moment to give a report to the committee. So I'd like to give him an opportunity to do that at this point. James, if you have anything that you brought that you wanted to discuss, or I know that you're supposed to report in each time, and I apologize for not having that on the agenda. That's my fault.
Anything I would like to report? I don't really have anything I would like to report this time. Um, except for the fact that I'm an officer for Interact Club, or my school's Interact Club. And I think that if there's any activities that we do that involve the Interact Club, I think we can try to get more people in, because I know that there's a lot of people who are interested in doing like EAC or environment related activities. And there's just like not a lot of space for them to do it. So I think maybe if we try to open up more spots or do a little bit more, I think that'd be great, because I know a lot of people who are eager to have the opportunity to volunteer with us.
Excellent. That's great.
Could you share a little bit more about what the Interact Club is, how many members it has, and what does it do?
Yeah. So it's a volunteer club. It's very similar to Key Club, which is also a volunteer club, but Interact is basically based on like a global foundation called the Rotary. Our Interact Club has around I think 80 members between both of our schools, because my school district has 2 high schools. And I think that yeah, there's a lot of students who are eager to get in hours. So it's like for each activity you go to, you get a certain amount of hours, and then that amount of hours is added on to like a global total. And then based on like that total of hours that you have, you can get different awards such as like distinguished membership, or you can get even like honor cords at graduation as well.
Can I ask you, do they have initiatives that they like to conduct? You said they enjoy doing things in the environment.
Yeah,
Are
they
there
do.
Things they do, and things that we could help support as well?
Yeah, the Rotary, which is like the mother of the Interact Club, has like 9 pillars. I don't remember like all of them, but I'm pretty sure one of them or like 2 of them involve the environment and just helping with the environment. Um, I know that, yeah, I know that we're doing like some things. We're doing like some kind of initiative. I don't exactly remember, to provide like environmental friendly supplies to refugees. So we're doing something like that. And I think that if we do sort of like more in-person events that people can sign up to, I think that'd be great.
Which Rotary Club are you associated with?
It's District 65.
Okay, it's the district, okay,
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Which one is it?
the district, and then whatever the number was.
I'm not too sure, but
We
I
used,
can
we
probably-
used to have a McCandless Rotary Club years ago, and it kind of moved off.
yeah, I think it kind of split up. So yeah.
Yeah, James, that'll be something for you to think about too when you're coming up with your area of focus or your project for this year for the EAC. If you want that to be something that involves, Interact Club or members of the Interact Club and things like that, that's absolutely fine. So make sure you're considering that as well when you're coming up with your project ideas.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, and what we should do is we should put on a line item for every meeting for James to have a few minutes to discuss with the group, what's going on with the Interact Club, how you've introduced this, this committee to the Interact Club, in your experience with that. So we should
Yeah.
give you a little bit of space every meeting to tell us what you think is, happening in the school, and how you can, how we can assist them and how you can assist us.
Yeah, for sure.
And just to confirm, you guys meet once a month, is that right?
Yeah, we meet once a month, but there's like activities you can do on your own throughout the month.
Sure. So just so everyone's aware that, like, if we're looking to get information out to the club, they're only going to be together once a month to share that info.
Yeah, there's also an email list though, so like the teacher can always send out emails to all the members.
And also to clarify with everybody, that is the one teacher that we have been working with pretty directly for the past few years. Jane Ellen Lombardi is the one who is the sponsor for Interact.
Any other questions about catch basin decal and also James's interactions? Okay, then I think the next one is the topic of the evening, Winterfest. And we'll need to know, we certainly don't need all 11 of us there. But we'll need a few people there. We'll have to figure out what we want to do, what we are trying to present to the community. We presented the recycling game a few times, and do we want to continue on with that? Do we want to have a craft? Do we want to include Dawn in the craft? When people come into the DPW building and they see that we're standing there, what are we presenting to them? How are we attractive to them? How are we educating them? We'll certainly have a banner that says EAC. We'll have the tree that shows the 10 things that we're currently working on. So that sort of, gives us some identity. We should have better material, and I'm working on material. So I'm hoping to get with Waste Management on what is good recycling, what's not good recycling. I'm also trying to get John, do we have any more of those coloring books? The recycling coloring books?
We may have some.
Okay. There's also some clean water material that I'd like to get a hold of. There are there's some other material that we should have that we should make available to people to be able to take away and to learn something about who we are and some of the things that we work on. But beyond that, I'd like to have some ideas from the group about what we should do that evening that makes us attractive. Should it be a craft? And I think, Matt, I think we have student volunteer potential.
Yeah, so
In-
let me give a little context and set the scene a little bit here, especially for those that were at Community Day, kind of point out the differences here. So this will be indoors in the Department of Public Works building. It will just be a table. It won't be like a booth. Obviously there's no covering because it's inside. They sent out the layout so that we could see where our table is. And it looks like this year they have moved the DJ outside, which will actually be very helpful for us if we're going to do anything where we actually have to talk to people, because in the past there was a train running and a DJ playing and it was just very loud. So, we did run the recycling game last year as more of a game show type of thing where we had people sign up. They came back over from some of them. And then sometimes we just had to grab other people. I don't know that I would advise doing it that way again. I liked how we did it at Community Day a little bit better if we're going to do it this time. But it's our position, for those that haven't seen it, we're going to be like inside and kind of near the back. So one of the things that we had last year was we were closer to the front. We had a separate table for our craft that we did with the kids. And this will not allow that. There's not going to be extra space for those types of things. So we want to think about the amount of space we'll have will essentially be, one of those 6-foot tables. And the space in front of us, like we're kind of at a corner. So there's going to be, the last time the table that was there, and I don't know what it is, was a thing that was like selling stuff. So there was a line of people. And so we may not have a lot of like interacting space in front of it. So just something to keep in mind. And, not saying that we should not do things because of that, but just something that we need to think about the amount of space we have and things along those lines. I think having a kids craft is a great idea, but we might need to reach out to Abby and find out if we can get more space or move to a different area where there's a little more room for kids to do stuff. Last year we did recyclable wrapping paper, because wrapping paper is not recyclable and so much of it is thrown away every year. It creates a ton of waste. So we kind of got a bunch of brown paper bags and we cut them up and then let kids design their own, drawings and stuff like that they could then take home and then wrap gifts in. so that they had something to, it was kind of holiday themed, and it was also environmentally friendly and things like that. Not saying we need to do that again this year, but that's what we did last year. So.
The thoughts from the group.
All right, so if we're talking crafts,
Mm-hmm.
and I was bouncing some ideas off of Melissa about some different things, and we spoke about this before, and then I've had some other ideas listening to James too. And I agree, like the space might be an issue for this time, and I don't know if we can have something that's going to take very long if we have something. But even thinking about moving forward, what that could look like, if we use recyclable materials, if we have 80 people who are set on collecting some kind of recycled material for us, that could lead to some really cool crafts for the future. So that's something we could start thinking about even for community day crafts. Not that this is helping, but like thinking ahead as far as crafts, like we can have materials that way that can be kind of collected for us. It's like we need bottle caps or we need something like that. But the thing I brought up was the Center for Creative Reuse as a possible place to get more sustainable materials. Because even with, I like the recyclable bags, but then those are going to be new bags, so we're just using them. Am I right, Melissa?
So what I think I'm hearing is that, not for Winterfest, but going forward, the Center for
Creative Reuse.
Creative Reuse gives you ideas about how to use things in a way, certainly reuse things, because that's the title. And so we could give people ideas on how to reuse things in a clever kind of way.
I have a suggestion on that. When I vacation in Cape Cod with a friend who lives there, so I've been going for many years, but they, at their recycling facility, they have like a swap meet where people can bring every day, things they don't want anymore. And then those who are there to drop off, then other people or the same people take things. So what if we did, instead of a craft or something, just tell people to bring an object and take an object, and the table was, so it would be, it's almost like the Christmas exchange, where you ask everybody to bring something and take something, and it's not, do not go out and buy something new, but something they don't have any use for anymore, bring it up and then take from the table, so it's kind of showing, kind of what you're saying, that's what the Center for Creative Reuse does, is it talks about the next life of any object, right? And how you might reuse it. But giving it new life with a new home is oftentimes what it could be. That may be hard to manage, but it could be a lot of fun and engaging with everybody. As long as you say nobody's allowed to bring anything new, you just have to bring something from your home. That, so it's like a kid, it's a holiday gift exchange from my house to yours.
I like that, if I may. I'm not sure if the activities are gonna do it next year or not, but we've done the treasure in the trunk. Where it's kind of, like I hate to call it flea market, boot sale kind of thing. But I could see something like that being a fun feature at Treasures in the Trunk.
Also, there's for those that aren't aware of it, there is a Facebook Buy Nothing group for McCandless,
Use it
where
every day.
exactly that thing happens. Yeah, and I mean, I'm constantly posting stuff on there and finding stuff and things like that. So be aware of that as well for those that don't know about it. But I think one of the things that might make that difficult for this event is how soon it is happening and getting the word out. Also, I think we're already asking people to bring canned goods for the food drive. And so, I don't know. Like, I don't know how we get the word out about that as quickly as we can. It might be possible, or it might be something to put in our back pocket for a future event. I mean, it's a great idea to, if you've got something you want to get rid of. The other problem is what do we do with all the stuff that's left? Because you're going to undoubtedly have things that stay. We just need to make sure we have a plan for that too.
Something I was thinking, I don't know if you guys thought of it already, but is like maybe origami. I know that there's like a lot of paper that kind of has no use and a lot of it is thrown out. So I was thinking maybe we could make like origami something that people can take home and kind of like look at. Because I know for Interact Club, for one of the meetings, we made like paper cranes that could like bend and like elongate. And I remember that they were just like really easy. And I think the only material you really need is just like a square of paper. So I was thinking maybe that would be good. And I think like the optimal like thing to do for Winterfest would be something that is like fast and that you can like take home. Because I know like, you know, when I was a kid, I don't want to like leave my creation at the stand.
Mhm.
That's not that cool. So I think maybe something that you can take home. And I was thinking something that would be cool to do might be origami, although I'm not too sure.
I like that. There's also origami and ornaments,
Mhm.
patterns you can make to hang on the tree, so it
Mhm.
could tie in holiday theme as well. They could decorate them at home.
So, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, well, my question was gonna be. I haven't attended before, but what is the average age of a child who is at the events? Because origami is good, but a 3-year-old is gonna have more difficulty with origami.
I'd say this attracts like the 2 to 10-year-old crowd and their parents. Because
That's about right.
the biggest draw at the event is is not the guy with the big red suit, it's Elsa.
Hmm.
So if you can imagine any of the people in your lives who love Elsa and Frozen and everything like that, that's our audience.
The Grinch gets a lot of love too. Let's be
Yeah.
fair. Let's be fair to the Grinch.
That sounds
She
perfect.
was the.
So with limited space and where we are, you know, Matt, what do you think we should try? How should we present? What should we do that night?
Well, I mean, I think if we are going to do a craft and we want kids to come up and do the thing, I think we need to either get an additional space or move to a different location than where we currently are. And I know Abby was open to that because that's why she sent out the layout, is to find out if everybody was good with the space that they were given. So we can certainly investigate that. If we are in the space that we are in, I think it'll be difficult to have room for kids to do stuff. It'll be difficult for more than 1 or 2 kids to be there at the same time. Now, maybe they won't be anyway. You know, I think kids are going to be real distracted by the other things that are going on around them. So definitely something quick, as James said, is going to be important. And certainly, you know, something that they can just kind of do quickly and then go. You know, it's good to have something so that they will stand there for a minute and we can talk to the parents. But I mean, a lot of times the parents just stand back while the kid does the thing anyway, especially if there's very little space. So something to think about.
You know, I think about, you know, the season and I mean, I've not been to Winterfest, so I don't know the spirit of what it is I'm hearing. But, you know, don't you rather than just, I feel like the antithesis of what we want to do is give them objects to take home to recycle. And shouldn't we be doing something like, I don't know, with a little bit more of a giving concept rather than a getting concept. But again, I don't know what the expectations are, but you know, could it be, I don't know, something else rather than I get to walk away with something? Can I, you know, is there a way that maybe the kids could do something that is giving in some way?
I know one of the tables that Abby has planned is a place where children can make cards that will be delivered to local nursing homes.
That's
nice.
kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah, like. So obviously that's happening, but you know, I think I'm trying to, you know. Do we really just want them to walk away with an object from our group saying?
So,
you know, unless there's
one
a
I-
meaning behind it.
One idea that I've seen before, we have our tree at the table, but the tree doesn't exactly have leaves. We could cut out leaves with pre-recycled material and then have kids draw something or write something that they're grateful for or that they do to help the planet. And then you could sort of put those on our tree to make it, by the end of the night, it would be this really pretty, colorful tree that brings together what the community does for each other or for people, how whatever we decide to tell them to draw or write.
Okay,
Um,
Love it,
okay,
Love it.
yeah,
I'd
so,
love to see that on display here in town hall.
okay, so Matt, then, you know, so we have two things. We could go back to the recycling game show, or we could do this idea. Do you think that we should table the game show for, you know, since you've run it twice in a row, should we do this? You know, kids do something in a post, like, you know, what I've done for the environment in 2024, or what I plan on doing for the environment or something like that, and put it up on a tree?
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. Let's give it a try.
Okay. So do we need more space for that?
I mean, if that is what it depends on how many kids we think we will have at a time and how much we want to be trying to interact with the parents and tell them about the EAC and things like that while that's going on, right? If we are not particularly worried about that, and we just want this to be the activity and this is the thing they do at the EAC table, and we can have 2 or 3 kids at a time and that's enough, I think we're fine.
We also want to promote that the event in April will be happening for the cleanup and get people to sign up now if they want to be reminded of that. So we still need to ensure we have space for a sign up chart, and then any of that additional information that Jeff was saying as far as pamphlets or other information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much space this type of thing would take up. I'm not sure. Having never done anything like this, I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on, you know, how much space we're going to need for supplies and leaves and those types of things?
I think you should go with the second table just to be safe.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can certainly ask about that. So that will require us probably to move locations and to get that second table. So we can reach out to Abby and find out if that's available. We also need to know who's going to be there and who's going to be running this activity. I'm not sure that I can actually be there for the entire time, and I wouldn't feel comfortable running this activity without some sort of guidance on exactly what it is we want and how we're getting kids to do this. So if there's somebody else wants to volunteer for that, that would be great.
I will be there the whole night, but I have no artistic ability whatsoever, and I'm better at just standing there promoting the EAC, or, you know.
I can definitely be there.
Okay, good. Do we need Dawn?
Yeah, she's volunteered her time. That's why we're asking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I said I would tell her tomorrow if we wanted to use her.
If she would like to be there, I think it's great to continue to include her. I don't know if I'll be able to be there yet. I may or may not have family in town that day, so I'll know hopefully by the week of Thanksgiving and can update you all. But
Okay.
right now, I'm very tentative of whether I'll even be free.
We do also have, Jeff, you asked this earlier and I didn't respond. I apologize. We do have student volunteer possibilities as well. So Mrs. Lombardi has already reached out to me to find out if we need students and how many we would need. So we can certainly have, you know, we could get 1 per hour type of thing to get, you know, change it up, make sure more people are getting their hours. We get 2 per hour if we thought we needed them, but I don't want to have too many people behind the table because that's, you know, they'll just stand there and not do anything.
Okay, so what is the time? What's the time for Winterfest? I can't remember.
4 to
What are the
7, I
times?
believe.
What is it? 4 to 7?
4 to 7.
Okay, so let me boil this down then. We are going to go with an activity. Matt, could you please reach out for space that would accommodate this activity?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can reach out and find out what's available to us, right? I don't want
That's
to
right.
promise you right this second that we can get 2 tables because
I understand, and I'll reach out and ask Dawn to be involved because we need her craftiness. I'll include you in all this. And whenever I say the wrong thing, you'll come back and say what I really meant was this, and I appreciate that. But we'll say that we want to create some type of leaf or something like that will the person can do something that will talk about the environment or what they plan on doing for the environment or how they want to interact with the environment in 2025, blah, 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 blah. Does that sound around right?
I have a question
Mhm.
about all this, and if I'm involved, do you want me in costume?
Whoa.
So
That's-
my
what are you
Halloween
proposing?
costume, speaking of crackiness, I was Earth Day, so I had like to represent like things that are growing. I had like a flower crown and the actual earth. I actually made like a globe around me, and then I made a skirt that was made out of recycled materials.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, you had me at
I
Earth
also had
Day.
recycled materials.
Why aren't you wearing that tonight?
Yeah, what's going on?
The official uniform of the.
So, did it partially because I thought it would be fun, but partially because I thought I could reuse it for this. And I
Okay.
like the fact that for my costumes, if possible, I like to reuse them because it's one of my creative things. I like to make costumes. For
Okay, well, what other costumes do you think would be more appropriate for this season?
For the, well, of my other maybe not that one. But like that one is earthy and it kind of
Yeah.
draws the attention about the earth. So I don't really have a lot of others that are like Christmas. I don't like a lot.
Well, why don't we leave that up to you? I think that,
You
I
can
think
get
it's a
people to
great
do
idea.
it.
I absolutely, I think it's a great idea, but so,
Deb, can I mean,
sure.
James, I mean, you and students who talked about getting involved in ours.
Mhm.
And you have good creative ideas. I mean, is there a way you have new people?
We have a
on
resource
this
right
group
here.
Who would love to go do
We're,
these things?
we're absolutely gonna get there. So,
Okay,
yeah, and that's a perfect segue. So I'll be there just promoting the EAC. Joanna will be there in costume and helping with crafts and certainly, being interactive with that. Matt will be there from some time to, do what he's gonna do. James,
Yeah.
we would love to, and along with, Matt reaching out to the Interact. What club is Janelle
Miss Lombardi. Yeah.
or Miss Lombardi?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Interact, yes.
Okay, good. So it looks to me like that's a coordination, putting together some people that you like to work with and working with Matt. So we would have that going on, and I think that's gonna man a table. If anybody else wants to join, that's fine, but
Yeah, I'll be
whatever.
there.
Yeah, or whatever, show up for an hour or something like that and bring the kids and
Happy
they can
to.
mess around, all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like we're,
I was gonna say I'd be happy to help set up, but would prefer to leave when there's a crowd.
okay, sure. Okay, well, that's perfect too.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
Jeff-
how many student volunteers do we want from the Interact Club?
I just wanted to say that we presented the EAC Winterfest at our last meeting, which was like a few days ago. And there's already 4 people signed up.
Mm.
And I think that there's only 4 spots open.
Mm.
So, and I'm not one of them, by the way. So do I need to sign up through that or can I just go?
You could just.
Do,
go.
do you mean signed up through Miss Lombardi?
Yeah, signed up through Miss Lombardi. There's like a spreadsheet with like sign up links and a bunch of different opportunities.
I see. Okay.
And there's 4 people so far.
Okay. Yeah, because okay. Great. So can we use 4? It's only 3 hours. Can we use 4? Or do
You
we
could
only
do
want
2
one
and
per
2
hour?
hour-and-a-half blocks each.
Do you want to do that? That works for
That
me.
way
As,
they each
as
have a
long as we're
partner.
okay. Do we think that we're gonna have use for 2 students at a time, plus everybody else that's there? That's what I want to make sure of.
I think if they man the crafting booth, right, then we can flow to help them and also man the EAC booth. That feels like
Yeah.
a good division of labor.
Great.
We
Sounds
can
good to me.
help keep it organized and clean and hang the leaves up for the kids.
yeah.
Okay.
Melissa, you mentioned the other thing I wanted to talk about, which was signups at the booth for Winterfest. It's a great opportunity to build our email list. My question to you all is, do we think it'd be worth trying to incentivize that in some way through some types of giveaway or something to just bring in more email addresses so that we have a broader base to communicate to?
What type of giveaway do you have in mind?
I don't know, but like if the kids are doing their crafts, it'd be a great time to grab the parents, or even if you had, I mean, if you have kids and you walk through any type of event like this and there's something enticing for the kids to enter to win,
Well-
you get a free email address every single time from the parents. And so
How about this? How about this? How about we give them, because I'm thinking, you want to give them something that has to do with the event. Just- What if we give them a pair of gloves? Take them, because we're gonna give them gloves anyways. You have a pair of gloves. You're sort of tied in now. You have our gloves. I don't want to give them a litter thing grabber, but you give them gloves, or you give them a bag, a plastic bag with a date on it, or gloves with a date on it, or
the
something
kids are
like.
strangely enamored with the picker uppers, the trash picker uppers.
Yeah.
Like that's half the reason my kids wanted to do the litter pickup. 'Cause
Yeah.
They just wanted to be able to use that thing for 2 hours.
Yeah, we're gonna buy more of those, by the way. So John and I will do that. But
Like you could make a fun kit, and if you put that in the front of it, I bet you get a ton of kids interested.
oh,
Yeah, kids do love little grabbies.
Yeah.
yeah.
They would, make a little, give it a bag, give it the picker upper, give it a pair of gloves, win this kit.
Well, yeah, don't give that to them, but I
Right.
mean, shows this is what we use. This is the display.
Well,
A vest.
if you give us your email address, we'll give one of these kits away to whomever.
Oh.
We'll select at random one of the 40 email addresses we got during the event, and
Mhm.
you can win this.
Okay, if you show up.
Yeah, we got to respond to your email first of all. Yeah.
Mhm. Interesting. Okay,
We could sweeten the deal with like a little gift card or something too, right? Just to make it enticing.
Yeah.
But
What is the date of Winterfest?
the 7th, December 7th. Pearl Harbor.
It's better than what I was thinking.
Okay,
I was thinking 10 pounds of venison, so.
okay.
that's not
So-
a bad idea.
I know this topic's dragging on, but I think this is the topic that we need to discuss. So, okay, so. Litter display. And giveaway. Okay, so then, Bernie's gonna be there to help set up. Jeff will be there the whole time. Joanne will be there the whole time in costume. Matt will be there part of the time, and Mark will be there part of the
Yeah.
time. James will be there all the time, and James
Yeah.
is gonna be one of probably 5 volunteers at this point, is what I'm hearing. And I'm gonna reach out to Dawn and give her to get her wheels turning. Matt, you're gonna reach out to Abby and hopefully request a different space. And what am I missing? Anything else?
The supplies that we need for the craft.
Okay.
Some type of paper and then either markers or markers are probably easier than pencils.
Yeah. And I'll get Dawn thinking about that.
Yeah, and maybe some type of tape that you could just put on the back of it.
Okay.
Is I can't recall the material of your tree. Would we want to coat it with something to protect it, or?
Yeah, we
tape
want to
with
do that
something?
because the other
Yeah.
thing I can't do is I can't do Velcro on every one of them because if we have 50 leaves, then
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll make some adjunct branches or something like that.
Perfect.
Okay.
We should think too about how that tree is going to stand in this particular environment because we won't be able to latch it on to the thing that we did like
Yeah.
the other
Oh,
place. So just to make
that's a
sure we
good
have
point.
some thouts on that, like a base or something that it can stand
I'll
on.
think about that.
It likes to topple.
Yeah.
But there won't
Yeah,
be wind.
Yeah. Yeah, I have them in my garage. I'm always wrestling with it. Okay, I'll think about that. So, that's a who, that's an agenda, that's Dawden student volunteers, and we're not gonna do snacks or anything. We're not gonna give away any mud or anything like that. We're just not doing that this time. Okay. I will try to put together some material. John and I are gonna work on potentially a litter graph. What to think about some ideas there. And any chance, Joanna, for a not a handout, but something they could see about plant this, not that.
I can find something like that. I know
Okay,
that-
good. Something, and maybe we can get some copies made and all that kind of stuff. So we can, you have a color printer, John, I'm assuming.
Oh,
and-
yeah, we have a laser printer.
Okay, good. So
We'll find something. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Penn State has some things like that. If not, Audubon Society definitely does.
wonderful. So that ties in Winterfest preparation and Winterfest material. Any other comments about that? Well done. I think that's going to be great. Next is new projects. We talked about new projects last time, but I just thought we should think about these as we go forward. Is this something we want to incorporate into the body of our work? The first one is a recycling outreach. We did take a tour. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but recycling outreach. Not sure if this is a project. It sounds more like an educational portion of what we do. So think about this.
Where did it come from? The
I'm sorry?
concept of the recycling outreach, where did that concept come from?
My brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think it's not a project. It's just it's just I'm going to tie that back into miscellaneous here in a minute. Let's skip over that. But light pollution. And we've touched base on that. We've done tips. We never formalized it in a way that that we went and we did a project form. I'm not sure if that's necessary. I know that you've had some conversations and Trish would be aware of this, of the billboard light. Do we think that there's something there? Is there some involvement for us?
Well, our light pollution person, on the committee isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
But, I've always cared about light pollution, having lived across from stadiums in my lifetime. So, but I do think that, it came up. I think it's a hot issue with the township and the notion of, the impact of that level of pollution, our main residents in that area, I don't know the politics of it. I mean, Trish, my guess is you do. I don't know where, who's the proposer. So I don't know the details. I just know it seems like an idea that moved people away from better health and well-being. And, and I'm guessing it's a name of somebody is going to be a winner here who gets the advertising revenue from the billboards, but I'm not sure what the politics are of, who's doing it and why. I don't know enough about the topic. I just know it from we're here to talk about sustaining the well-being of the residents of the community. This moves in the opposite direction of that.
Yeah.
Just a very brief summary of what's happening. So the proposal of a lighted billboard at the corner of Cumberland and McKnight. So this would be on the same side as Lowe's across the street. There's currently a bus stop depot right there. And this would be very close to where Guinevere starts, coming off of Cumberland Road. And this has already been denied for this variance one time by our zoning hearing board. And the proposal is from a billboard company. We're familiar with Lamar around here. It's from what I can see, it's something similar to Lamar. They would be selling space. These would be on, I think, 10-second rotations. And it would be, they slightly changed their variance request the second time by saying that it would be completely facing up and down McKnight Road and would not have any angle into the residence on Guinevere. So there's been a lot of talk, some people looking at zoning, some people looking at our current ordinances. Definitely they are investing a lot of money into attorneys and professionals to speak for them. And the appeal was continued. So the next meeting will be November 20th. It's going to be 1 week early because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So that will be next Wednesday night if anybody would like to attend and speak as residents of McCandless. The this company, the billboard company's attorney has made it very clear that no one who is more than a half mile away should be allowed to have standing. So we've moved on past that. So right now, we're gonna see what happens. I am not a voting member of the zoning hearing board. No one on council is. The zoning hearing board has their own attorney. And they are 3 members who are very well experienced in giving this, I am confident, a lot of thought. I'm not sure how they're going to go. It won't surprise me if they deny this again, in my opinion. So that's kind of where we're at. And my dog's crying to come in, just a second.
I mean, I think that question of, has this group ever weighed in before? Ken, you're our historian. On the notion of light pollution, I mean, we had somebody who was on here specifically, that was their issue.
Yeah, the billboard issues is a new one. And it's, our germane is pretty small. With the light pollution, like at housing and things like that, I think that's more of an educational thing of the different types of, white light versus a red light and so on and so forth, and the amount of lumens and so forth. I think that's more of an educational thing, like through McCandid tips and maybe doing a program on that at some time. But that's more of an educational issue than anything that we would have a program for.
So I agree with that. And I think again, this is an education of the residents, and we know that there are certain times of the year, and Ellen is always kind to point that out, that we want to be sensitive to the amount of light that, for bird migration. So I think that we need to be committed to a McMail tip. We need to be committed to, and I think actually Ryan did an excellent job on his last tip. It was very, I mean, it was a good tone, very, very good tone. So we ought to think about continuing.
Can always reuse it.
Yeah, I want to reuse it. That's the point. We ought to keep it in our rotation for tips, and we ought to be very vigilant whenever it comes to the bird migration dates. And we shouldn't need Ellen to tell us when they are. So and how we get that message out. I think we have to be proactive with that. So I think that's our role, as opposed to I don't think we have a project, but I think we have a role.
Yeah, and I think, the billboard, I recognize it's different, but, I had no idea that they were trying to restrict who could testify. But I think that question of, we're all gonna drive by it how many times? Time.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of time, and I know our zoning hearing board is always very interested in comments from the community. But because this is a hearing, not a general meeting with public comment, the hearing requires that people testifying need to have standing. So it's a little bit different than how many meetings are run, from the dais you're sitting at right now. There is a court reporter, etc. So it is conducted like a hearing, but there is, and very welcome to have public comment before the zoning hearing board. Every time an appeal comes before the zoning hearing board, they seek public comment for sure.
What was that distance again? Half a mile? That's a shame.
So, one thing, like they did do, they brought up experts, and, speaking of things like foot candles, etc., that I'm sitting in the audience and I have to Google what that means. A foot candle of a 60-watt bulb is 10 feet, I think, if I remember correctly. So there, from what I could see, there was a very small arc of light that would actually go into the property of the first home on Guinevere. And I'm hoping that, I think the appeal board sees that also. But from what I understand, they may be just going through the motions, so they can take this higher as a suit against the town.
Well, if it's anything like the electronic sign, there's one on Old Perry Highway, just after where Cumberland runs into it. And I am a half mile away from that, and it glows the sky at night, right? So like I don't get direct light from that, but especially if we're relating it back to potentially migration issues and things
Yeah.
like that, the impact I think is far beyond the direct line of sight.
Right, and they also did acknowledge that the ads would reflect the times of operation for whatever company or business was advertising. So if UPMC was advertising, which they do around here, they are in operation 24/7. So there would never be a turn off for this sign. This would be essentially 24 hours, image change every 10 seconds.
And the obvious answer to this is no, but we would have no ability to say, we are recommending that because these bird migration days, that residents and commercial businesses reduce their footprint in light on these days. The answer would be no to that, right? We would have nothing.
I would guess that's going to be a voluntary request. I mean, that would
Sure.
certainly be something that, I'd be happy to at a council meeting at the time of announcements to say, hey, everybody, this week we're expecting migratory patterns, et cetera. Please turn off your lights. But being private property, being business property, that would be very hard as a town to enforce something
Yeah.
like that.
And no one's going to do that. Okay. Okay. Anything else on that?
If
Miscellaneous.
if you want to come to
Sure.
that meeting, I'd love to see you there. They have been running late. Bring water, bring snacks. Got out about midnight last time.
You're
boy.
really selling it.
We should double your salary.
Yeah, I could get a rib on that.
Okay. Thank you, Trish.
Sure.
Miscellaneous. Let me turn this thing around real quick, and let me first go to the recycling tour before we do the tips. We were able to attend a tour of the Waste Management Recycling Center. Bernie, myself, Melissa, who else was there? Abby, Ken, and Debbie from the municipal staff, which I thought was a great tour. And Melissa, do you mind giving a little debrief of that?
Yeah, happy to give an overview. So Waste Management is the hauler for our recycling here in McKinless. They bring our material to a facility that they have on Neville Island. This facility was recently upgraded. So I believe they said as of late spring this year, it was functioning with a lot of new technology. In the past, things were very heavy about the number of the plastic that you're recycling or the material. But with their new upgrades, they have a lot of AI features now. So a lot of the way that it's being processed is really about the shape. There are changes to some of the materials and commodities that they can accept now. Our material doesn't reflect that yet, but they are going to be sharing this information to us. One big change is they can now accept plastic number 5, which wasn't something they could do before. The big focus that they wanted us to get to our town is it's really about ensuring we are sending along bottles, jugs, and tubs when it comes to plastic, but no cups, and also to keep food waste out. No bags, no batteries, nothing that can tangle like soft plastic, like or a cord, because that can stop their operations. But this facility, now that it's been upgraded, they're actually able to process a lot more material than before. Per my notes, it was showing 25 tons per hour. Previously, it was significantly lower. They do operate 10 hours per day, so pretty exciting for them. And they're also now not seeing as high contamination rates as before. So I believe it was around 80% of the material going through their facility is actually recyclable now, which is really incredible. We are hoping to be receiving information from them that we could share with our residents. They also, just for our group right now, there is the potential if McCandless changes the way that our contract is written, there is potential for glass to be included in the future. I know right now we do have the glass collection at Town Hall, but this is something our town would have to change with the revision of contracts for the future for our residents to be able to participate in that component as well. But it was a great tour, really fascinating. Anything to add or any questions?
With the new technology, when you mentioned glass, I know the main reason they keep glass out is now because it contaminates if it shatters. Is some of the technology to reduce the shattering and reduce the contamination of the plastic from the glass?
We didn't ask that exactly, so I'm not sure, but they said that we can follow up with questions at any point. So
They
if
have-
do want to compile. Yeah, go ahead.
With the glass, they now wash the glass. So they're able to get rid of a lot of the contamination and things. So if you saw the Paolo glass from the old technology, I mean, it was half dirt and half glass. And then the Paolo over here where they were able to clean it was glass. So they've upgraded what their ability to take glass.
What the
Joanne's referring to having it in the same stream. So
Yeah.
basically if it goes in the container and it breaks right off the bat, that's the contamination I think she's referring to.
Yeah, it's a tiny glass shards. They get scattered in between things, and it actually impacts like how you can process the plastic if there's glass that's shattered in there with it.
Yeah. But yes, their new system can potentially take it again. So that was exciting to see.
Sounds like a great future McMail tip once we get all the information back on.
Well,
What we can and cannot, yeah. And
Yeah.
focusing on the shapes too, that's a really big one, because it's much easier to remember just a jug, a tub, a bottle.
Yeah.
Rather than
Yeah.
telling people, turn it over, see if there's a number. So
so
it'll make it
John,
much easier, and it will change the recycle game.
yeah,
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
crazy because that's what it used to be. Like it used to
Yeah.
be shapes, and then they went back to numbers,
To
and now
numbers.
they're going back to shapes, and
Yeah.
that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
It's nice and confusing for,
Right?
but I like the direction it's going.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting for the information that will get out there.
so John, if and when, and I think it's when, number fives are taken and, glass is, will that be a separate item? That would be the township telling the community that we now do that, correct?
Yeah, that would probably be several stages of saying, yes, repeating this information. And if it's different enough, we probably would pull out a new recycling book, essentially, like the little green book we mailed everyone. Waste Management would pay for that because they do pay for one thing per year in their contract as far as publicity, so. It would probably have to be a concentrated effort like that, a lot of repetition.
Okay, well, so then, any other questions for Melissa?
I have a question maybe for John, and not to, disclose the details of the contract, but
It's
in
public.
adding,
It's public.
yeah, in adding glass, will they charge more?
Good question. I
mean,
wouldn't know
they,
that myself.
They didn't charge less when they took glass away, so I hope not. But
I would assume they would not,
capitalism.
honestly. I would say that the prices are probably pretty locked in for that.
Yeah, John, you may remember, I think we have at least maybe 2 years on our contract left with Waste Management.
2026.
Yeah, so the end of 2026, there's a couple option years
Yeah.
there too.
But, as residents, do we have to wait till then to get the glass back in?
I mean, as far as I know, like, whatever they accept, as long as both parties agree to it, can be done in the middle of the contract.
This is the funny thing about that. If you saw what they did, now I don't know that the recycling is coming from McCandless or coming from Clarendon, but trucks are coming in and dumping it. And they're taking a front loader and they're putting it on their belt. How do they know where it's coming from? So if it's glass, I mean, it's not like all of a sudden they're like, okay, you know, you're over here, no glass, there better not be any glass in that.
Yeah.
I would imagine if there's glass that ends up in our recycling, wouldn't you agree? It's just gonna end up, it all ends up in the same place.
It does, but because of the way our contract is set up, we can't be adding commodities to it that they haven't agreed to be taking from us.
So as
So
far
we
as
do
like,
have to, we can't send out messaging until they approve it.
We can't, right, but I mean, but if we accidentally
really-
throw one in,
yeah, I mean, if you accidentally throw one in, that's not really a problem, but I mean, the people who are really enforcing that is the individual drivers who are going, you know, in town. That's who would say, you know, like, we can't accept this.
right,
And obviously, you know, if there's one bottle hidden in there, you know, who cares? They can't really see it anyway, but there are some times where there's egregious, you know, violations and they'll say, we can't pick this up.
sure,
It's a bulk item, no one paid for.
they're gonna hear that.
But that's
Yeah.
my question. Can you, you'll pick up the phone and say, so we can add glass again, I hear? You know what
Yeah,
I
we
mean?
don't. We do get calls occasionally. And really most waste
Okay.
calls are really like missed pickups and such like that.
Yeah,
Every
but
once in a while, we get something
I
about,
have
you know,
like a
get
ton
glass
of
or-
glass, I never remember to bring it, but I mean, so for me, I would prefer, like as a resident, right? That I can recycle glass again, that's
Yes.
why I'm asking, like, can we formally get that added back in before 2026?
I mean, I think it's really just a matter of everyone getting on the same page, really. Because this was something that was originally discussed over a year ago with Brian.
Yeah,
And then since then, you know, Brian has left, you know, there's the whole process, you know, John's onboarding. And he did recently meet with our waste management rep, and we, you know, myself and Debbie did as well for more ground level issues, so
mhm,
I would assume it would be coming fairly soon.
okay. So, and I think that's the point, is we all saw it, right? They said, hey, this is easy to do now. We probably should include it, and so on behalf of the residents, can we, get that expedited?
I could mention that to John.
That
just to
would
be
be
sure.
great.
John has mentioned it. I know that is something that is being discussed for sure. Another thing to remember is the recycling bins. I think we have a year left on the contract with those, the ones that are in town hall with the big bins. So,
Oh, for the glass?
so, yeah, so, but definitely I, speaking for myself alone, but I imagine most members of council, whatever, if it meant creating a new updated agreement for the entirety of our current contract, I think everybody would be very happy to add glass into it. So it's just a matter of getting the official okay from Waste Management.
Good, thank you, that's where I was.
Okay, so then going back to A for November McMail tips. Do you think we should still do a recycling tip? Based on what we know, it's not gonna change the fact that we may include fives and that will, be in the future in glass. But we talk, we had a great recycling tip back in January of something, I can't,
For 2023.
2023. And talks more about, shapes and sizes and, when in doubt, throw it out, different things like that. Do you think this is a good month for recycling tips based on the freshness of, of it in our minds?
I think we should do it when the glass gets thrown back in, if it's imminent.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we should wait until we have information, and like a new pamphlet that we could put out showing from Waste Management, the official imaging that we can use so that we can teach
Okay.
people as well.
Okay.
I'm in
Um,
100% agreement. I really want it to be once the yes comes in, it needs to be a very unified, loud yes, not bits and pieces and whispers and I heard about this and so forth. Because I don't want to, have Debbie have to deal with those phone calls all day, coming into tax season and stuff.
Okay. So then, and Bernie, thank you for the last McMail tip. It was excellent. Yeah, that was great. On leaves, and I mean, that was timely. So any ideas for the next McMail tip? I think at this time last year, I did one on recycling, composting pumpkins and cooking the seeds and different things like that, little Martha Stewarty.
Something tying to what Matt was saying could be fun, talking about like for the holidays, consider repurposing your paper bags as wrapping paper and maybe like a few fun, sustainable ideas for gift giving, like rather than buying new, give experiences, things like that, like tie it to the holidays.
That's a good one.
I think that's a good idea.
Think you could put that into a paragraph?
When would you need it by?
Well, Melissa, since that's a great idea, we all voted. Do you think you can put
What's
something
the-
together and put together a tip for by the end
When's
of
it needed by?
November.
November on some reuse
Yeah.
of?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay, great.
I might just do like a little paragraph and then just a few, maybe 5 fun ideas or something. Keep
That's
it nice
all.
and short. Yeah, okay.
Yes, please. And you know, just if you could throw that by, did you say by the 26th, John?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
By the 26th, and then just for your rough draft or your first go, Ron, just to me and John, please.
Okay. By the 26th.
Yes, that's great.
Mhm.
Oh, John, to go back on the calendars are going to come out. Is that right? So
Yeah, now that we have the date for the cleanup, that's the last thing I needed. I'm probably gonna send it to the printer tomorrow.
okay, good. And so the cleanup, we'll get a like will we be the April?
Yeah, there's an April page with some pictures of previous cleanup saying, feel free to sign up, more information will come out, and it's gonna be in the little actual date box too.
Okay,
Saying
good.
it's the road sign cleanup.
Because we had a great picture of in the DPW building last year.
Yeah, I have that on top.
Okay,
The
great,
big panoramic
great,
curved thing.
wonderful. I have volunteer network, but I think that's really better for next meeting, the way that we're running, and I don't know that that's a conversation for right now. Bernie, e-waste facility tour.
Yeah, he's talking about January, if that could work, but because of what happened with this last tour, where some folks couldn't make it during the workday. Is there a better time and date? I mean, they work during business hours, but he said he could feasibly go late or, maybe even looking at, like a Saturday. So I'm just gonna ask, would that be better for everybody in terms of planning and, if we project a date and I can, propose that.
Okay, first, you show of hands on who would be interested in going, what, would, if you had no restrictions at all. Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
we could bring students out. I don't know if they'd be interested, but we talked about that last year. So, okay, so it's a good number. I missed everybody there, but say 15,
yeah,
yeah.
A Saturday would be amazing for my schedule, but
Yeah, agree.
okay.
Does everybody wanna, so morning, afternoon?
Mornings are great, right? I mean,
Yeah.
get her done.
Okay, and then, first, second, third, fourth week. So the 4th, the 11th, the 18th, or 25th, I'll at least project the date. The weekend of the 18th is Martin Luther King weekend.
Yeah, and the students have off on the 20th. I know a lot of families use that weekend to get away.
Right, so the 4th is probably too close to the holidays, so the
Yeah.
11th or the 25th.
I would
Yep.
vote the 25th. I will not be here the 11th, but if the 11th is better for everybody, feel free to do that day.
That works for me.
There?
Yep.
Okay, let's start there. Great.
So let me project that date and I'll get back, maybe even before the next meeting. If it doesn't work, then maybe we can, before the next meeting, get one scheduled.
Okay, great. Thank you,
All
Bernie.
Mhm.
Okay, Trish, any report from town council for the group?
The only thing I had in my notes was to talk about what was coming in the hearing board. I don't know if you have any particular questions of me. Couple of things we did recently vote on included, there was a proposal for land behind the Wexford House nursing home, kind of on the road up to St. Aidan's Church. That kind of crazy 5-way across from Target. There was a proposal to rezone that so that townhouses could be built behind there. And council unanimously voted against that. So that, just because of the possible flood zones and the green space, there's so many reasons we all voted. It was a non-issue for us to all vote no to that. So thought you'd be happy to hear that. We had a nice big crowd in the audience that night. And as soon as we cast the no vote, everybody left. So good night.
Well, thank you, Trish, because that's my neighborhood.
Wonderful. Anything else for Trish?
Good to hear.
Okay. So topics for next month's meeting. So I would imagine that a lot of the projects, we're not going to need to talk about maybe 1 minute on sustainability, but the roadside cleanups are done. We have deer management on every, as Ken, updates us on the numbers as they build up going throughout the season. We'll always hear from that. But I'm thinking that next month should be what do we want to be for 2025? How do we want to define the group? How do we want to define our workload? Bernie brought some interesting concepts. We could either just do a 2025 priority list and just say we want to work on these projects. These are the people that are going to work on them. These are the groups that are going to work on them. Or we could talk about the sustainability hub and spoke concept that Bernie talked about. Is that something that that we use as a sort of a blueprint on how we distribute work, on how we move forward? I want everybody to think about for the next meeting, it's the end of it's December. We're not doing a whole lot, but we should launch 2025 after next month's meeting, and we should figure out, how we want to move together as a group. We could talk about the volunteer network. I want that to be on there. The hub and spoke, the speaker series, what's going to be our first speaker. I think we talked about that, but let's sort of, make that official, and let's just have an open discussion about how we want to move this group forward and how we want to accomplish things.
Oh, can I suggest maybe almost like a visualization of the hub and spoke with, it's kind of a visualization of what that might look like, and that we circulate, between now and then, and everybody kind of just put their ideas on that, because to your point, I don't know how much of last year's list you plan on, if it doesn't have somebody in this current committee to carry it forward, right? Because are we going to use that 2024 list as the jumping off point, or are we starting with a clean sheet?
Well, the thing is that we always have the same objectives, the same, and they could fit into your sustainability umbrella. The objectives of well, these projects are never going to go away.
But they're like tactics, not strategy.
There's no doubt about that. That's what I'm talking about. They're all
Right.
tactical.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the next month's meeting should be a strategic meeting.
and I would say though, sustainability is the strategy, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's why I was proposing it that way, is if sustainability is the strategy. And I know Ken and I had a little exchange between last meeting and this one about what is sustainability. Is there science behind it, or is it just somebody's checklist? Like what we're experiencing, in my view, for the certification.
Absolutely. There was no doubt about that. Yeah.
But that's actually not what sustainability is. So
Right.
I'm wondering if we could come together around a common understanding of what it is. What is the science behind it? And then how do we use that as the thing that we're using to drive decisions?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's kind of my thought.
Well, it is, and I'm not saying that that's the group's thought, or that's how we go forward. But we should at least consider it, since it is, it's part of the strategic, thought of this group, or the existence of this group. So we want to at least put that out there, and the way that you said, let's do some type of hub and spoke. I don't know how we could do that, but I think what we could do is, and this was in your document focus area, sustainability program. I'm not sure if you pulled that off of PA Sustainability.
Yeah.
You know, it
Copied
lists
and
all the
pasted,
topics.
Right, I copied and pasted, what they're
Right.
saying about.
Right, so we would take those topics, I think we would distribute something that would be, so everybody has a topic in front of them and
Right.
say, are we in the spirit of these topics? Is our current tactical, the way that we're trying to accomplish that, is that in the spirit of sustainability? Do we need to memorialize it more, whatever that it is? I don't know if there's an answer to that right now.
And I think what I'm saying about the visualization is exactly that. Take all the topic areas,
Mhm.
visualize them, and then ask the question, which of our tactics fit into which of these?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
we could list those in a visualization, so we could then see
Mm-hmm.
what are all the things we do, how do they plug into the existing framework of the community? And then how do we proceed from there? All the new projects that people have would go into that frame. They all belong somewhere, because that's kind of a universal theme on the sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an outlier. There's not a thought that is not part of sustainability, right? Because it's dealing with the planet, people.
And I'm
the
sure that
economy.
everything that we do is going to fit into there somewhere.
Yeah.
And there will be actually probably some categories that we don't do a lot with.
That's right. Yeah.
And one of them might be energy. It might be.
Yes, so once again, I'm gonna say, there's gonna be $1 billion available over the next several years from the state. And so I am once again gonna urge that McCandless position themselves. They did not award all the funding that they had in the last round that was due in October for municipalities.
Mhm.
So they've extended it through December, so municipalities could get funded. So to your point about energy though, yeah, I mean, but I would love to encourage, some energy projects, right? Through the, not just the municipality on its existing buildings, but there's a big Solar for Schools program
Mhm.
that's getting launched.
And we have to keep our eyes on what is attainable. What we can actually, this board, what can we actually accomplish?
And I think in those cases, right, that's just letting people know that those funds exist.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all, to me, part of outreach that we could do with our own schools, our own municipalities and buildings. Is let them know, funds exist to finance these projects.
Any thoughts on that? Agree. Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, I was wondering whether we could talk about social media. Just the things like Facebook or like Instagram. Because I know like especially among younger people, it's a good way to like let people know what's happening. So I was just wondering like whether we even had a social media and what we could post to that to maybe try to generate an audience.
Just the town one, right, John?
Yeah, so the town has 3 Facebook pages. We have Instagram. We also use YouTube and LinkedIn right now.
Mhm.
The challenge we've run into in the past is getting those posts to the right audience, because a lot of young people don't follow the McCandless page, and so that's the problem, right? Is getting into those networks. And our student rep last year, Archie, tried to help us do some of that. I don't know how successful that really was, based off of what we've seen. But if you have any thoughts on it, James, absolutely run them up the flagpole, because we'd love to figure out ways to get the message out to younger audience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so think about that, James, and that's why, I mean, that's why that's an asset that Mark brings to us. I think this group has always struggled with that messaging. And so, we have things, we have technical, objectives with litter cleanup and, putting together, the catch basin decals and different things like that. And even the light pollution, and people would never think about these types of things unless we told them. And so even the McMail tip mean, maybe that's something that we should be using beyond McMail and taking that tip and putting it out and did you know? You know, that type of thing. So, you know, your help, Mark's help, you know, and anybody who has, you know, any expertise in this, I think we struggle with this. I know I do.
Yeah, as we think about 2025, Jeff, and some of those key pillars, whether it's how we fit initiatives into the ecosystem, I think what I hope to be able to bring and what I want to see reflected on that list is just communications. Strategy is probably overkill, but just planned so that, and it's just an enabler for all the other work that's going on, right? And I think that social media fits into that, right? And figuring out how we can get the message out to the different demographics in the community. And so I'll bring that for next month, but I think it should underpin all the great work the team is already doing.
And, you know, I think that's a good point of discussion is, you know, is communication and advocacy of a message more important than actually doing things? I mean, I would love to like, maybe have that conversation. You know, are we all trying to just do things as opposed to just be the messenger of things? And, you know, so I'm just putting that out there for next month's conversation.
Well, that falls into your volunteer network discussion too, you know, so, you know, you teach a man to fish, you know, so that's what we're trying to do. Okay. Anything else? All right, well then, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
I always forget that part. Always forget that part. Thank you, everybody, for a great conversation, great discussion, and please bring these thoughts and enthusiasm to the next meeting so we can get off on the right foot on 2025. Great.
Okay.
Thanks.